Hi guys, welcome back to another problem of the day. Today we are going to be looking at a problem from Mathcounts 2021. And below we have the problems, and let's get a quick read. So, there are 10 coins on the table, head side up. Noah wants all of them to be tail side up, but with each move, he must turn over exactly 6 coins. And the question is, what is the fewest moves he can take so that he ends up with all coins tail side up? So basically, we want to flip over all coins at the end of this, I guess at the end of this problem, but in each turn, with each move, you can only turn 6 coins over. So at the root of it, the problem seems pretty simple, at least to understand. So let's kind of visualize this. So say we have 10 coins, all showing heads. 6, 7, 9, 10. 10 heads. And now with each move, we want to pick 6 coins and flip their face. So if it's heads, it becomes tails, and if it's tails, it becomes heads. Right? So for example, we could make the first 6, we can make these tails, and then the last 4, I guess, stay heads. And now this type of problem, we want all of them to be tails, right? So this is going to just take a little bit of experimenting, right? So if you think about it, to get all of our coins to end off as tails, we need each coin to be flipped over an odd number of times, right? So if you flip it over once, it goes from heads to tails. Flipping it twice, it'll just bring it back to heads, but then a third time will bring it back to tails. So basically, each coin we want to select an odd number of times, right? And then now the other aspect of this is we want to minimize the number of turns that we are using. So this means that as much as possible, we want to flip over each coin only once, right? If we flip over coins multiple times, then unless we're accomplishing something else, it basically serves no purpose because that's just losing out on 2 extra moves, right? So say this is our first move. Now, for example, if I take the first 6 and change them all back to heads again, like this, all we've done is add 2 unnecessary moves to our problem. And this doesn't help us in any way because we're back to our starting point. So obviously we wouldn't do this. Okay, so with this in mind, let's start experimenting a little. So the first kind of guess might be, okay, now we take the last 4 and change those to tails. And then we pick 2 of our tails to flip the heads, right? Because if we change these 4 to tails, we also need to pick 2 other coins because we need a total of 6. So now we have 4 tails, 2 heads, and then another 4 tails, right? So 8 tails and 2 heads. Now here again, we have a lot of tails here, but we want these heads to also become tails. Now if I change 2 of them, so if I change both these to tails, right? Tails, 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 tails. And if we call these tails, then these would become heads again. And this is just the same as up here. So that definitely isn't what we want, right? So we can kind of take this out. Now our second option is to just change one of the heads. So we could say this becomes heads, this is head, head, head. Say this becomes tails, this stays heads, then we'd have 1 more heads, right? Because how many have we changed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And these stay tails. And now we have, so if we rewrite this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 heads, 6 heads, followed by 4 tails. And now we can change these 6 to become all tails. So, okay, so this is how many moves? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 moves. You might think this is ideal, but 5 moves is still a lot, right? If we experiment a little more, you'd see that you could actually do it faster. So say you have your 10 heads. The first move will stay the same, 6 tails and 4 heads. Now what we want to do is instead of changing all of the heads to tails, so ready, if we take this and let's just move it down, right? So say we just move this down and make some space for ourselves. So if we have our first move, again, it'll always stay the same. right? But now, instead of changing the 4 heads, what we can choose to do now is only change 2 of the heads. So that means we'll have 4 tails that's become heads. Tails, tails. 2 of the heads become tails, and then we remain with 2 heads. And now you'll see I have 4 tails right here, and I have 6 heads. So I could just change these all into tails, and I'd be done. And this actually only took 3 moves, right? First move right here, second move, and third move. So our answer would actually end up coming out to be 3. And that is all for this question. So if you have any questions about how we solve this, be sure to leave a comment. And if you enjoyed or found this helpful, please be sure to like or subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow.